Hey, hey, hey! Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 18, AIR. We are on our New Start acronym, and we are down to AIR. Man, look how fast we just blew through those. AIR, okay? How are you sitting right now? Are you still laying in bed? Are you in your kitchen preparing your breakfast? You know, how is your posture? Are you driving to work in your car as you're catching this live? Are you sitting at your desk at work? Or are you sitting, are you slouching? Look at your posture right now and notice your breath, your breathing. How are you breathing? Take 3 deep breaths with me. Do you know what we just did there? We just lowered our blood pressure. We just lowered our heart rate. We improved our brain function. AIR boosts our learning. It improves our concentration, right? It clears our lungs when we breathe. You know, most of us go about our busy day. We're not thinking about taking deep breaths. Most of us breathe so shallow. You know, when we breathe in and out, it clears our mind, right? And some of us, you know, as we're sitting at our desk, as we're walking around and things like that, we may not take those deep breaths. You know, exercise, what we learned a few days ago, right? When we're exercising, it helps our lung capacity. It helps us breathe better and take those deep breaths. You know, at a time that we're living in, when we have to wear these, right? When we have to wear these over our faces, you know, it inhibits our oxygen. You know, when we're breathing and breathing out and breathing that right back in, it actually lowers our oxygen. You know, I talked to somebody and it said that they got their oxygen checked and after they were wearing this for a while, and it was significantly lower. And I was like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, when I'm at work, when I'm in my room by myself, or when I'm, you know, away from people, or sometimes I'll go outside, I'll do this. I'll put it under my nose and you know, take those deep breaths, you know, when you're away from others or whatever, you know, when you can socially distance. Because, man, when you're having that, it's, you know, restricting your oxygen. So at a time we're living, in the time that we're living, when we have to wear these masks to protect our health, it is so important that we get those deep breaths of fresh air outside. So when you're at work, can you go around your building and take a walk, get that exercise, and get that fresh air? Look, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You can knock out 2 of your daily healthy habits. Well, actually 3 because of the sunshine, right? We want to get the sunshine, the exercise, and that air in our lungs, right? So when we breathe, it improves our brain function. It gives us clarity of mind. It improves our concentration. It lowers our blood pressure, and it lowers our heart rate. It calms us. It helps us sleep better at night, right? And I think of, you know, the Bible verse, and, you know, Moses, when he wrote the book of Genesis, he said, and God breathed into their nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And I think that God's breath is in us, right? That God's breath is in us and we are a living soul. So we're living because God's breath is in us. And that is just totally amazing. In Job, he says, the breath of the Almighty gives me life. And I just think that's just totally amazing. You know, this topic is about air and, you know, breathing deep and having that healthy air, getting out in the fresh air, you know, going outside in the country. I'm from the country and we had clear, clean air. And, you know, when I come to town, it's like totally different, you know, the smog and the pollution. But if you can go outside at a park where there are trees so you can get that clean, fresh air. So this topic and many of the topics, it's about the topic, but it's also about the spiritual aspect of it as well. How are you using your breath? You know, we have this time on earth, this life in our bodies. None of us know when we're going to pass. I think it was a huge wake-up call this year from many family and friends passing away from the virus. So how are you spending your breath? You know, how are you using your God-giving abilities and talents? You know, how are you using the breath that's in your body while you have it? You know, so think about that. You know, so walk outside in the air, try to do, 10 to 20 minutes or so. Open your windows and air out your house to get that fresh air in if the weather permits. I mean, sometimes I'm like, you know what? Even though it's cold, I'm going to shut off the heat. I'm going to air it out and turn the heat back on after that. It'll be cold for 10, 15 minutes or so, but hey, I do it anyway. And take those deep breaths. So those are your action steps. Pause. Maybe it's before breakfast, lunch, and dinner today that you just pause and breathe deeply to remind yourself that you need to be taking those deep breaths, right? Okay, so those are your action steps. I hope you have an amazing day and breathe deeply today.